You feel it immediately, the shift. The texts that used to come easily now take hours to arrive. The warmth in her voice has cooled to something polite, distant. She cancels plans. She says she needs space, and every fiber in your body screams at you to do something, anything, to fix it, to chase, to explain, to prove your worth, to win her back. But what if everything you think you should do is actually making it worse? There's a principle buried in Machiavelli's writings that most people miss when they focus only on his ruthless political advice. It's the law of reverse effort. The harder you push against certain forces, the more they push back. The more you chase what runs from you, the faster it runs. This isn't about politics or war, it's about human nature. And nowhere does this principle play out more painfully than in the moment when someone you care about pulls away. Let's be clear about something from the start. This isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulating someone into wanting you. It's about understanding a fundamental truth that governs attraction, respect, and desire. When she pulls away and you chase, you're not showing love, you're showing need. And need repels while desire attracts. Think about the last time someone desperately needed something from you. A friend who constantly needed reassurance. A salesperson who wouldn't take no for an answer. Someone who texted you 5 times before you could respond to the first message. How did it make you feel? Probably suffocated. Probably less interested in giving them what they wanted. That's the law of reverse effort at work. Now imagine you're that person to her. She takes a step back and you take 2 steps forward. She says she needs time and you ask how much time. She goes quiet and you fill the silence with paragraphs of explanation. You're trying to close the distance, but every attempt pushes her further away. The more you do, the worse it gets. And the cruel irony is that you're doing it because you care. But caring expressed as desperation destroys what it tries to save. So what happens when you do the opposite? What happens when you actually do less? First, let's understand why she pulled away in the first place. This matters because doing less isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about creating the conditions where attraction can breathe again. Women often pull away for reasons that have nothing to do with you losing value in their eyes. Sometimes she's overwhelmed with other parts of her life. Sometimes she needs to feel like an individual again, not just half of a couple. Sometimes the relationship moved too fast and she needs to slow down to figure out how she actually feels. And yes, sometimes she's genuinely losing interest. But here's the thing that most men get wrong. When she's losing interest, chasing her doesn't bring it back. It confirms her decision to pull away. Think of attraction like a dance. When one person moves forward, the other naturally moves back to maintain balance. When one person moves back, the other moves forward. It's a rhythm. But when you break that rhythm by constantly moving forward, refusing to step back, you force her into a corner. She can't move toward you because there's no space to move into. You've closed all the distance. There's no chase, no mystery, no question of whether you'll be there. You've answered that question 1,000 times over with your constant pursuit. Doing less creates space, and space is where desire lives. When you stop texting first every single time, something interesting happens. She notices. Not right away, maybe, but she notices. When you stop trying to fix her mood or solve her problems without being asked, she remembers what it's like to miss your presence instead of managing it. When you stop explaining yourself and defending your worth, you stop acting like someone whose worth is in question. This isn't easy. Your instinct is to fight for what matters to you. That instinct serves you well in many areas of life. But in this specific situation, that instinct is your enemy. The fight or flight response in your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a physical threat and emotional uncertainty. When she pulls away, your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Your mind races. You feel compelled to act. But that compulsion is based on fear, not wisdom. And decisions made from fear typically create exactly what you're afraid of. Machiavelli understood that power often comes from restraint. The prince who constantly needs to demonstrate his power has none. The prince who can afford to do nothing, who doesn't flinch at challenges, who maintains composure in uncertainty, that's where real power lives. In relationships, this translates to something profound. The person who needs the relationship least controls it most. Not through manipulation, but through the natural dynamics of supply and demand, pursuit and withdrawal. But let's address the fear that's probably rising in your chest right now. What if doing less means you lose her? What if she interprets your space as disinterest? What if someone else steps in while you're busy doing nothing? These are valid concerns. And here's the hard truth. Those things might happen, but they were going to happen anyway, if that's the trajectory you're on. The difference is this. Chasing her when she's pulling away guarantees loss. It destroys any remaining attraction and replaces it with pity at best, annoyance at worst. Giving her space at least gives the relationship a chance to reset. It lets her remember why she was attracted to you in the first place. It allows her to miss you. And you cannot miss someone who won't go away. Think about the qualities that attracted her to you initially. Confidence, independence, a life that existed before her, purpose, maybe a touch of unpredictability. When you chase her desperately, you demonstrate the opposite of every single one of those qualities. You show insecurity. You show that your happiness depends on her. You show that your life revolves around her. You become predictable in the worst way, predictably needy. Doing less isn't about being cold. It's about returning to the person you were when she chose you. The person who had his own life, his own goals, his own sources of happiness. The person who wanted her but didn't need her. That distinction matters more than almost anything else in attraction. Wanting is sexy, needing is not. Here's what doing less actually looks like in practice. It means when she doesn't text you back for hours or days, you don't text again. You don't send the "Hey, did you see my message?" follow-up. You don't create reasons to reach out. You let the silence exist. You trust that if she wants to talk to you, she knows how to use a phone. It means when she says she needs space, you say okay, and then you actually give it to her. You don't check in every day to see if she's done needing space. You don't keep one foot in the door by liking every social media post or watching every story. You give actual space, which feels like absence. It means you redirect your energy toward yourself. This isn't fake busy work to make her jealous. It's genuinely pouring yourself into the parts of your life that don't involve her. Your work, your fitness, your hobbies, your friendships, your purpose. This serves two functions. First, it makes you genuinely more attractive because you're focused and fulfilled. Second, it protects you emotionally. If you're obsessing over whether she'll come back, you're in a psychological prison. If you're building your life regardless of what she does, you're free. And people are attracted to freedom, not prisons. The test of whether you're doing this right is how it feels. If you're doing less as a tactic, if you're constantly checking to see if it's working, if you're secretly just waiting for her to come back so you can return to chasing her, it won't work. She'll sense the manipulation. But if you're genuinely reclaiming your life, if you're doing less because you respect both her autonomy and your own dignity, if you're okay with whatever happens because you're building a life you're proud of, either way, that's when the magic happens. That's when the law of reverse effort kicks in fully. Often, and this happens more than you'd expect, she comes back. Not always, not guaranteed, but often enough that the pattern is clear. She comes back softer, more open, more interested. Because absence reminded her of what presence felt like. Because space gave her room to miss you. Because your restraint demonstrated a kind of strength that attraction can't resist. She comes back testing to see if you're still that desperate guy who was texting paragraphs into the void. And if you're not, if you've genuinely moved into a place of abundance and self-respect, that's when things can actually heal. But sometimes she doesn't come back. And this is where the law of reverse effort teaches you something even more valuable. If you've spent this time building yourself, investing in your life, reconnecting with your purpose, then her absence doesn't destroy you. It redirects you. You realize that your happiness was never dependent on one person's decision. You realize that the version of you that you became while doing less is actually the version you should have been all along. You realize that outcome independence isn't just a dating strategy, it's a life philosophy that makes everything better. The men who struggle most with this are typically the ones who've made their relationship their identity. When she pulls away, they feel like they're losing themselves. But the truth is, they lost themselves long before she pulled away. They lost themselves the moment they made her approval more important than their own. They lost themselves when they abandoned their own path to walk alongside hers. The pulling away is just the moment when that loss becomes impossible to ignore. Machiavelli also wrote about the importance of being feared rather than loved if you can't be both. That sounds harsh in a relationship context, but there's a kernel of truth if you translate it properly. It's not about making her afraid of you, it's about making her afraid of losing you. Not through threats or manipulation, but through the simple reality that you're a man of value who won't wait forever, who has options, who has a life that continues with or without her. When you chase desperately, you eliminate that healthy tension. You make it clear that she can treat you however she wants and you'll still be there. That's not love, that's self-abandonment. The philosopher Aldous Huxley, who actually coined the term the law of reverse effort, explained it this way: the harder we try with the conscious will to do something, the less we shall succeed. Psychologists call it the paradoxical effort. The insomniac who tries desperately to fall asleep stays awake. The person who tries too hard to be funny isn't. The man who tries to force attraction repels it. This happens because the very act of trying too hard signals scarcity, insecurity, fear. It signals that you don't believe the thing you want will come naturally, so you have to force it. When you stop trying to make her want you and start living like someone who's wanted, the entire energy shifts. You're not performing, you're not proving, you're just being. And that authenticity, that groundedness, that quiet confidence, those are the qualities that created attraction in the first place. Those are the qualities that can restore it. Let's talk about the timeline, because this is where most men break. They do less for 3 days and expect her to come running back. That's not how this works. The timeline depends on how far away she pulled and why. If she just needed a breather from intensity, maybe a week of space does it. If she pulled away because she felt suffocated over months, it might take months of space for her to breathe again. There's no magic number. But here's your rule. However long you think you should wait, double it. Your instinct to reach out too soon is strong. Don't trust it. And during that time, the way you measure success isn't by whether she's texted you. It's by whether you're becoming more yourself. Are you sleeping better? Are you working out? Are you reconnecting with friends? Are you pursuing goals that got abandoned? Are you feeling more centered, more purposeful, more at peace? If yes, you're winning regardless of what she does. If no, if you're just white-knuckling your way through, not texting her while obsessing over every social media activity, you're not doing less, you're just silently chasing. Here's a framework that helps. Every time you want to reach out, ask yourself, am I reaching out from abundance or scarcity? Abundance means you have something genuine to share, you're in a good headspace, and you'd be okay if she doesn't respond. Scarcity means you're reaching out because the silence is killing you. You need validation, and you're hoping to get a response that makes you feel better. Never reach out from scarcity, ever. The psychological principle at work here is called reactance. When people feel their freedom is threatened, they resist. When you chase her, you're threatening her freedom to choose. You're trying to force a decision. Human beings don't respond well to force, especially in matters of the heart. But when you step back, when you make it clear through your actions that she's free to go or stay, the reactance fades. She's no longer defending her freedom. She's exercising it. And often when people feel truly free to choose, they choose what they were running from. This also protects you from the worst case scenario. If she doesn't come back, at least you maintained your dignity. You didn't beg, you didn't humiliate yourself. You didn't give her a highlight reel of your worst moments to remember you by. You remained the high-value man she met, even as things ended. That matters for your self-respect. And it matters for your future. The next woman you meet will benefit from the lessons you learned, from the boundaries you're now capable of holding, from the abundance mindset you've developed. There's also a practical element to this that doesn't get discussed enough. When you're constantly available, constantly pursuing, constantly trying, you're playing your entire hand. She knows exactly how you feel. She knows exactly what you'll do. There's no mystery, no uncertainty, no space for her imagination to fill in the blanks favorably. But when you do less, when you're not constantly broadcasting your feelings, she starts to wonder, what is he thinking? What is he doing? Does he still care? Is he seeing someone else? That wondering creates what psychologists call an open loop in her brain. Open loops demand closure. They create mental and emotional energy directed toward you. That's not manipulation if you're genuinely living your life. It's just the natural consequence of not being predictably available. Some men worry that doing less means giving up. It doesn't. Giving up is when you decide you don't care about the outcome and you move on completely. Doing less is strategic restraint. It's caring about the outcome, but understanding that your previous approach wasn't working. It's changing tactics while keeping your goal in sight. But here's the nuance. You have to be genuinely willing to move on if it comes to that. If she senses that doing less is just another form of waiting around, it won't work. The power in doing less comes from the fact that you could walk away if you needed to. That possibility has to be real. The hardest part of this entire process is the uncertainty. When you were chasing, at least you were doing something. You felt like you had some control. Doing less means surrendering that illusion of control. It means sitting with the discomfort of not knowing. It means trusting the process even when every instinct screams at you to intervene. But that discomfort is where growth happens. That uncertainty is where you learn whether you're a man who needs external validation to feel okay, or a man who's okay regardless of external circumstances. Think about the men you respect most, the men who have real presence, real power, real magnetism. They're not the ones chasing. They're not the ones explaining. They're not the ones who need you to understand them or approve of them. They're comfortable with being misunderstood. They're comfortable with people walking away. They're comfortable with silence. That comfort comes from a deep sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on any single person or outcome. That's what you're building when you do less. And when she does reach out, if she does, your response matters enormously. Don't fall back into the old pattern. Don't flood her with relief and enthusiasm. Stay measured. Stay warm, but not desperate. Show that you're glad to hear from her, but your world didn't stop while she was gone. Match her energy, maybe give a little less than she's giving. Keep the mystery alive. Keep the challenge alive. Show her that the man who gave her space is the same man who will continue to have his own life, his own boundaries, his own standards. That's the man she'll want to stay with. This entire approach requires you to develop what psychologists call distress tolerance, the ability to sit with uncomfortable emotions without reacting to them. Most people, when they feel anxious or rejected, immediately try to make the feeling go away. They text, they explain, they chase. That's emotional management through external action. But real strength is feeling the anxiety, acknowledging the rejection, and choosing not to react. It's saying to yourself, this feels terrible and I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to let her have her space. I'm going to focus on what I can control. That's the discipline that changes everything. If you take nothing else from this, take this. The version of you that she fell for was probably not the version of you that chased her when she pulled away. Return to that version, not as a tactic, but as a homecoming. Rediscover the man who had dreams bigger than any one relationship, the man who valued his own time and energy, the man who understood that he was the prize, not the prize seeker. That man is still in you. Doing less isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing what matters. And what matters is building a life so compelling that her presence would enhance it, but her absence wouldn't destroy it. The law of reverse effort isn't just about relationships. It's about life. The harder you clench your fist around sand, the more it slips through your fingers. The more you try to control outcomes, the more chaotic they become. The more you need something, the further it moves from you. This is why surrender is often more powerful than force. Why patience outperforms panic. Why doing less in the right context achieves more than doing everything. So if she's pulled away, resist every instinct to chase. Don't text, don't explain, don't try to fix it. Let the space exist. Use it to become someone better, someone stronger. Someone who knows his worth isn't determined by anyone else's perception. And then watch what happens. Watch how the absence of pressure creates space for something real to grow again. Watch how your calm becomes magnetic. Watch how the law of reverse effort proves itself once again. And if it doesn't work, if she doesn't come back, you'll have something even more valuable. You'll have yourself back. The self you lost somewhere along the way. The self that doesn't need anyone's approval to feel whole. That's the real prize in all of this. If this resonated with you, if you're ready to stop chasing and start building the kind of life that makes people chase you, subscribe to this channel. We dive deep into the psychology of attraction, relationships, and personal power. And drop a comment below telling me your experience. Have you ever pulled back when someone pulled away? What happened? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Let's build a community of men who understand that real strength isn't about force, it's about knowing when to do less.